Vermont, known for Ben & Jerry's, craft beer, liberal ninnies, and permitless carry for residents and non-residents. While Vermont looks a little pro-gun, just like any Democrat state, they love to tell you how to live your life and what you are allowed to do with it. Chapter 5 is a great example. Hang on, because first we have Chapter 1, Who Can Carry and Buy in Vermont. Now, in Vermont, there's no permit required. Under Vermont law, anyone 16 or older can possess a handgun on their own. Under 16, you need a parent's permission, thank God. There's no state minimum age for rifles and shotguns. Federal law only kicks in for sales at 18. When it comes to buying, even purchases from licensed dealers run through a NICS check, the federal background check system. That's where your name gets checked against criminal records, restraining orders, and mental health commitments. Sometimes it clears in seconds, sometimes it takes days. On top of that, Vermont requires universal background checks for nearly all private sales. Exceptions exist for immediate family and emergencies. Since 2023, Vermont also added a 72-hour waiting period. That means even if you pass the NICS instantly, you still have to wait 3 full days before you can take your firearm home. Lawmakers say it's a cool-off window. Hopefully no one's after you. And here's the big one. Vermont now mandates secure storage. If a prohibited person or child gets a hold of your gun, you could face up to 5 years if someone is hurt or killed. We'll get into more penalties in a little bit. But what about carrying in your truck or walking into town hall? Chapter 2 has the answers. Chapter 2. Vehicles, public areas, and preemption in Vermont. In Vermont, you can carry a loaded handgun in your vehicle, no permit required. But a loaded long gun in a vehicle on a public highway? Illegal. As for no-go zones, here's the short list. Courthouses, hospital buildings, polling places on election day, schools and school buses. And don't forget, the federal Gun-Free School Zones Act applies in Vermont. That means you can't possess a firearm within 1,000 feet of a school unless you're on private property. Vermont has no licensing system, so the federal law looms larger here than in states with permits. Now, good news. Towns can't make up their own gun laws. Preemption keeps carry rules uniform statewide. But remember, private businesses can still ask you to leave. Ignore them, and it's trespass. Not a gun charge, but still trouble. Now, next up, if someone kicks your door in at 2 a.m., what does Vermont law really say about fighting back? Chapter 3, Vermont Self-Defense and Castle Doctrine. Technically, Vermont doesn't have a stand your ground or castle doctrine statute, but state law does allow deadly force when you reasonably believe it's necessary to stop murder, sexual assault, burglary, or robbery. And courts have ruled there's no duty to retreat in your own home. So, no flashy statute name, but your right to defend your home is alive and well. In Vermont, your home court is your fortress, and the jury's the umpire. But keep this in mind, carrying drunk can get you nailed if it endangers yourself or others. Your right to carry stops where the bar tab kicks in. What do you think? Should every state adopt a clear castle doctrine law, or is Vermont's common sense approach better? Drop your answers in the comments. I want to hear from you. And speaking of rules, who exactly is barred from owning guns? And what happens if you break those laws? That's next. Chapter 4, Prohibited and Penalties in Vermont. Vermont mirrors federal prohibitions. If you're a felon under a restraining order or adjudicated mentally defective or committed to a mental institution, you can't possess a firearm. State law also bans possession from those convicted of violent crimes. Break these laws, and Vermont brings the hammer. Carry a weapon during a felony, up to 5 years. Dangerous weapon with intent, up to 2, 10 if intent covers multiple people. Unsafe storage, 1 year and $1,000 fine. If it leads to injury or death, up to 5 years and $5,000. Now, this one surprised me. Defaced serial numbers, up to 5 years and $50,000 fine. They don't play. Polling place violations, up to 1 year and $1,000. Vermont hands you freedom with one hand and smacks the crap out of you with the other if you abuse it. Chapter 5, Vermont magazine limits and NFA gear. Since 2018, Vermont limits magazine capacity. 15 rounds for handguns, 10 for rifles. Magazines owned before April 11th, 2018, grandfathered. Suppressors, legal to possess with ATF approval, but you can only use them at ranges or while hunting. Other NFA gear, short-barreled rifles, machine guns follows federal law. And remember, machine guns are only transferable if they were registered before 1986. Don't worry, next chapter we hit on a tax stamp change for January 1st, 2026. Chapter 6, Reforms and the Road Ahead for Vermont. In 2018, Vermont passed sweeping reforms that included universal background background checks, magazine limits, bump stock bans, age 21 dealer sale minimums, risk protection orders. Those risk protection orders, sometimes called red flag laws, let police or prosecutors go to a judge and temporarily take your guns if you're deemed a danger to yourself or others. Critics argue they're easily abused, weaponized in personal disputes or legal battles to strip someone of their rights without due process. In 2023, Act 45 added a 72-hour waiting period and secure storage mandates. In 2024, guns were banned in polling places, and in 2025, Vermont moved against unserialized ghost guns, with new serialized requirements kicking in. But after all of that BS, here's the sweet part. Come January 1st, 2026, that $200 NFA stamp on suppressors, SBRs, SBSs, and AOWs, and whatever other acronyms that was on there, gone. $0. The law is signed. The big beautiful bill on July 4th, 2025. The tax is gone. You still file e-forms and do your fingerprints, but your wallet's not getting clipped anymore. So it's still a registry, just free. If you already carry a gun and you're serious about wanting to conceal carry without giving up comfort, check out relaxfittactical.com. Our athleisure joggers and shorts have a built-in detachable belt. And pick yourselves up one of our new Hawaiian shirts. Let us know what state you're from and if you're happy with their laws. Don't be lame, subscribe.